Hey guys, it's Peace Daddy, Mr. Dollar here. I am going to teach a lesson today on fractions. This is one of the last lessons in fractions part 1, which is a whole unit that we do, mostly with 4th years, but sometimes with folks that are still in 5th grade. This is our 5th lesson, and this lesson is on the addition and the subtraction of fractions with like denominators. And right there where it says like denominators, that means that the denominators are going to be the same. They have the same denominator. So what's the goal here? The goal for this lesson is to make fractions using other fractions by adding and subtracting. And there's lots of different ways to do that. And that's what we're going to find out. We're going to find out that we can get an answer to an equation a few different ways. Just like there's lots of ways to make 10, there's lots of ways to make fractions. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more. When you're done with this work, it's important that you go to Google Classroom and look in our Drive folder, because there's some work that you need to do after the lesson. You're going to look for the work that says add fractions like denominators, and you're going to look for the work that says subtract fractions with like denominators. And like we've done a few times, if you've listened to some of my other lessons, there's a website that we're going to go to when you're ready to do this work on your own. I'm going to be using the Montessori materials. If you want to use the Montessori materials, but you're working from home, you can go to www.virtualmontessorimaterials.com, and you can look for the fraction section, and they will have fraction circles there on that website, and you can use them exactly like we use our fraction materials. But just do it virtually. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have today. I am going to lay out 1/2 plus 1/2 with the fraction insets. And I'm going to write the problem below it like this. So we have 1 half. We're adding these together. 1/2 plus 1/2. So we're going to have 1/2 plus 1/2. And if we move them together, they make 2/2. And 2/2 is equivalent to 1. So in your copybook, you're going to write down 1/2 plus 1/2, like it appears here. 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 2/2, and then you can write that that is also equal to 1, that 2/2 is equal to 1. All right, I want to make sure you got this, so I'm going to jot it down on a slip of paper here so that you can see how it should look. 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 2/2, and that is also equivalent or equal to 1. So it should look like that. 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 2/2, which is also equal to 1. Okay? And you are going to look for, like I said earlier, this sheet on the Google Drive. And it has lots and lots and lots of problems so that you can practice. And while you're practicing this, you can go to the website, virtualmontessorimaterials.com, and you can use those fraction pieces that are on that website to help you. And after you've done a lot of those problems, what you're going to figure out is a rule. And the rule is, in order to add fractions that have the same denominator, what you're going to do is you're just going to add the numerators and you're going to leave the denominator the same. Just going to add the numerators. 1 plus 1 equals 2. This is 2 halves. But the family name, the denominator, will stay the same. Okay? Remember, denominators are down. Down starts with a D. Denominator starts with a D. So that's always the part that's at the bottom of our problem. And the one that's at the top of the problem, that's called the numerator. So the numerator's up at the top of the problem. Okay, so let's look at a different one. Let's do some subtraction now. And first subtraction problem we're going to do, we're going to use the eighths. So let's start out with 5/8. We'll just count those out. 1, 2, and again, you can do this virtually at virtualmontessorimaterials.com. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's imagine I had 5/8. You know, and you can tell yourself a little story too. You can say, well, you know, I was having some pie at home and we only had 5/8 of our pie that was left over. And I asked my mom if I could have 3/8 of the pie. So you would say 5/8, and you would have a subtraction symbol this time. 5/8 minus, or take away, and then you would want to take away from it 3/8. So you'd have the 3 on the top, and then the line underneath, and then the family name for this one, because it has 8 parts, is eighths. So I'm going to put an 8 in my denominator. There we go. All right, so if I already have 5/8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I take 3 of them away. So I'm going to put that back over here in my 1, 2, 3. Then how many 8s would I have left? I would just have 2 8s left. So, again, you're keeping track of this in your copybook. What would you write down? You would say 5/8 minus 3/8 is equal to how many? 2/8. Okay. Just like that. And you want to write that down in your copybook. And once again, the rule here you're going to find after you do this for a while is that the family name, the denominator, is going to stay the same. When you're subtracting and you already have the same denominator, keep that denominator the same number. It's going to be 8s in the problem, 5/8 minus 3/8, and it's going to be 8s in your answer, is equal to 2/8. So the denominator stays the same. And you're going to go to your Google Classroom and you're going to look for a sheet that looks like this. And I have that labeled in your Google Classroom as Subtract fractions with like denominators. And I want you to practice subtracting just the numerator. Leave the denominator the same. And please use virtualmontessorimimaterials.com to do that practice and move those pieces around, because you really need the practice when you're doing that. And I want you to practice moving those fraction pieces around and seeing what kind of answers you can get. And another thing that I want you to do is I want you to see how many of your answers are the same. And can you start out with a problem that has one fraction at the beginning, and you take a fraction away from it, or you add a fraction to it, and you get the same answer as in a different problem. And I want you to think about why that is. See if you can figure out all the ways that you can get the same answer in fractions. Okay, well that's it for today. Once again, I want to say thank you for watching. This has been Peace Daddy. I'll see you next time.